So it does look like the teams are picking their characters right now. I'm very interested to see, what compositions teams want to go with, and what characters are going to be used, because that can make or break a game. Is
Mm.
do you have mobility characters, defensive characters, rotational characters, aggressive characters, and each team is going to play differently. So I'm very interested to see how these teams are going to use that to their advantage.
Yeah, no, and it seems even looking at the character select screen right now, it seems like we have a lot of Valkyries, a lot of Gibraltars. We got some Wraith Bloodhounds. It's going to be pretty interesting spreads here.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Gibraltar is heavily in meta because he is such a defensive character and is really needed to help protect the team on these rotations and during these fights. So I'm definitely going to see excited to see how Gibraltar will be used during some of these matches.
No, honestly, Gibraltar, such a powerhouse. Pretty vital to majority of team comps here, as you were saying, right? That bubble can just give you so much defensive and offensive play. And it'll be very interesting to see how so many of these teams not only deal with their own bubbles, but with the opposing team's bubbles.
So we do have Los Phasmos landing Fragment East, which a lot of people know. This is a very large hotspot for a lot of teams in ranked and public matches. So, and the loot pool here is really strong. So I'm very excited to see what Los Phasmos will come out of this area with. I know TSM, which is one of the best professional teams in Apex, lands here, and they're the best for a reason. So I feel like Los Phasmos is kind of using that knowledge, and hopefully they have the same outcome as TSM.
No, for sure. I think picking a spot as loot filled as this is definitely going to give a team a little bit of an advantage early on, right? Because you're going to get so much more of this pool early game that you're going to be able to really carry that momentum. We talked about it earlier. We're going to be able to carry that momentum with the gear chosen here into late game, and hopefully it'll allow them to pick up some early kills if they decide to go for that, or maybe just kind of a stockpile for late game.
So it does look like we have Cat Girl Cafe kind of realizing there is a team close to them, and they were looking to make a rotation out of Lava Fisher just to avoid those early fights. They want to loot up, play a little bit slower. And we do have Team Olympus here actually landing Overlook, which is a very safe spot. If they have it all to themselves, it is a great location for one team. And it's kind of the edge of the map, so that's going to allow them to rotate almost anywhere they want, no matter where the circle is.
Yeah, and I think this edge play is going to benefit them quite a lot here, right? Because they have so many options going in, right? Especially with a team like this that's got a character that with the beacons, you got this mobility. They can choose to go either wide on rotations, or they can just try to go straight in, see what they can get.
Yeah, I agree. These edge teams, for the viewers out there that don't know what an edge team is, there are two different types of play styles in Apex competitive. You have edge teams, which like to play outside of the circle and work their way in. And then you have, your circle teams, which like to rotate to circle early and kind of secure a building and hold that down. And it does look like Olympus is taking some shots, and we see in the kill feed we have Fake Twigs taking out Brima, getting the full kill. That's going to be 1 KP already.
Yeah, and we look over Olympus right now. They don't have a lot in regards to shields right now, and it doesn't look like they picked up a lot of meds either. So it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with this, onslaught right now with not a lot of meds to their name and only great shields.
Yeah, it does look like Olympus is in a very tough situation right now, and they are getting pushed by a team with purple armor. We see the bubble up. Well,
Woo!
actual yellow. Oh, the double arc star knock and the squad.
Double arc
Let's
star
go.
knock, it's insane! Oh my god, and it looks
So
like with that Olympus is out.
We do see Olympus being the first team out, and Flatbrush with only with only one player alive. So that Valk looks like he's not going to be able to go and retrieve his teammates' banners. So I'm curious to see, is he going to try and rat and gain those placement points, which are so important in this game, or is he just going to kind of he might make a push back for it, because it is the first game. So we will see what happens. But that first fight was insane.
Yeah, realistically, I mean, I think recovering these banners is going to be a very risky play, right? Ratting, I think, here might even be the best option because at least you're securing some of those placement points when you're at such a disadvantage. And it looks like Gibraltar's token's about to be out, and all they have left is going to be this Bloodhound. So, at the best of cases, it's going to be a 2v3.
Yeah, I mean, at least he was able to recover one of them. I think two people is better than none. I'm just curious, is that team going to come back knowing that, hey, he grabbed the banner, he's probably going to try and revive? Could we take that to our advantage as, free kills? I don't know. We'll see. I think reviving here would be a super risky move. So we'll see what Zoo decides to do now that he has his teammate's banner.
It looks like we have Catgirl Cafe fighting over here. God, having to navigate around that bubble, again, it's such a defensive tool and it can lead to so much advantage for the other team.
So yeah, I definitely agree with you. But we do see that one of these teams has burned their bubble, and Skybreaker it got absolutely beamed by Anti-Pupper. Let's see how this team, if they can pull it off. The 2v3, it looks like the other team has the shield advantage, seeing Zuni and Egro Messiah are both cracked, and let's see if they decide to back up and kind of reset, or if they try and fight it.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure if they have meds. See, Zuni just had to pick up a shield cell right in that box right there. It didn't even look like they had any meds to back them up here. So this fight honestly seems a little risky for them, especially at the shield disadvantage.
Yeah, we did see Egro Messiah did get the revive off on Skybreaker somehow, using that bubble to his advantage, but Skybreaker just could not make it out of that. It looks like, Best Pupper has that beam on him with the R301, which is such an insane assault rifle, a high DPS, low drop off, and he's definitely using that to his advantage.
Yeah, and Catgirl Cafe just in general looks like their gear is low, right? R301 with 21 reserve rounds, only a gray barrel stabilizer. It just looks like they might not have been able to pick up nearly as much loot in these beginning zones. And it seems like they're
But we
really
did,
paying for it right
yeah.
now.
But Egro Messiah did get a knock, so it looks like it is a 2v2 currently. But it looks like Anti-Gaming, it will get the full reset with the bubble and the Gibraltar ult to kind of zone off any potential push from that.
Yeah, and it looks like they might be playing safe here. What do you think the best option is going to be for them? Do you think that they should go back in and recover that banner, maybe try to save that third player for later, or just to play it safe, don't risk the team wipe?
I personally would not want to risk it because, it looks like Anti-Matter Gaming could be camping that banner, knowing that they might want to come back for it. And I think their best bet would be to just kind of back up, full reset, loot, and not play as aggressive if they do want it. They have 0 kill points right now, and they are only in 13th place, so they're not going to have too much. But it does look like Anti-Matter did back off of the banner, allowing them to revive.
Yeah, what a nice thing. What a nice thing for them to do. Because with that player advantage, I mean, I'm curious what their thought process is of not camping it. Maybe they're just not trying to risk it, or maybe they just don't understand the advantage position that was given to them. I'm unsure, but hey, it looks like they're getting that Skybreaker revive, and we'll see where it's going to take them in this next zone.
Yeah, they do have to be careful because that revive noise, it's shown everywhere, it's loud, and it's kind of like a beacon for other teams to show up and just be like, "Hey, we just revived a player. Like, come push."
No, exactly, and it looks like we're catching up here with Texas Tech Red here in a gunfight. It seems like they have a good positioning and just took out Magnum Mike.
So we do see a team playing across from them. These teams are playing, the edge of the circle. They're holding down the height, and the height advantage in Apex is so important because that gives you the opportunity to shoot down on teams, and it kind of offers protection from all angles. And usually in these, especially towards the end of the zone, or the last couple rings, the team that owns height or the god spot is usually the team that comes out on top. So I'm curious if we're going to see any of that today.
Yeah, no, and I think we will, right? Because in most games, everybody says, oh, get the high ground, secure the high ground. But in Apex, it really does make a huge difference. Having that high ground, as you said, it protects you from so many angles and allows for you to have this god spot. You know, you get to play with your little pawns as you shoot down upon them. And I think, you know, if they want to take advantage of this movement, I think that's what they're going to have to be shooting for. I think every single team is going to have to try to get this high ground and really put themselves in a position of advantage.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you 100%. That God spot is so important, especially in these types of tournaments with these sort of stakes. It will be super important for a team to be able to control that height and just let people, come to them, let people run underneath them. And, you just get free shots on teams trying to make their way into the circle. And it does look like Texas Tech Red does have at least 2 kill points and a 12th place spot right now. So they're looking pretty good for this first game to start off with.
Yeah, they are. They seem to be a little bit closer to the edge, though. I'm curious if they're going to try to move inwards or if they're going to continue to play this edge, maybe try to find, third parties. And it looks like they are heading over to third
Yep.
party, another team right here. Those shots from another team can just act like a beacon, and really the vultures start coming.
So we do see SPG Lapsy with the knock on one of these players. I'm curious if, that team is going to be able to reset or if they have Texas Tech Red, on their backs, pushing them. And it does look like they're committing ults to this fight. So, it looks like Beard Guts is kind of making that call, like, push this. This is winnable. This is thirdable. And see if they can clean up. And I'm curious, how hard they're going to commit to this.
Yeah, and it seems like they're committing really hard. Beer looks like he's going for a flank here. And with that ultimate, they're definitely saying that we are here, we want these fights. And so it's going to be curious to see if they can actually pull it off or whether or not this might have been a risky take.
Yeah, it does look like they did get zoned off by that Gibby ult, so they kind of made the decision to back up. And we do see Zuni TV in the kill feed with the knock on Libra. And so it does look like a lot of these teams are, there's some teams looking to play a little bit safer, and there's some teams just straight up winning their gunfight and, kind of saying, like, hey, we're the better team, get off our backs, and things like that. So it is definitely very exciting to see. And Egirl Messiah in the kill feed, they do trade up there. And right now we were watching Los Phasmos taking this high ground in the tower. And they do have the beacon scanned as well, so they'll know where to rotate exactly from this.
No, for sure. And it's interesting that you say that, some teams are going to be playing risky and some teams are going to be playing safe because as you saw, Lost Spasmos getting on this upper area of Epicenter, just trying to make sure that they have a safe area within the zone. They know where that next zone is because of the beacon, and they can kind of use this, wait for that zone to push in, and then push in alongside of it just to make sure that they have such a good spot. They don't want to get taken out yet. Placement has such a big impact on these teams, and you can obviously tell that they really value this placement points.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. But what does make me a little bit nervous about this spot is if you can see, they do still have to rotate into the circle. And it looks like they will be held out by this team kind of holding that height on the rock. So I'm curious which way they're going to decide to rotate in order to, avoid these teams trying to gatekeep them, per se.
No, yeah, that the upper, we talked about high ground. They have, it seems like they have the high ground here, but I do think there's options, right? They can drop down, but it seems like there might be another team on the other side fighting as well. So it looks like there might be 3 teams surrounding them. That's the issue of picking such a central spot here, because you do have a lot of teams coming. And if you start fighting, those vultures could be upon you as soon as possible.
So it does look like we got chaotic here on Redbird varsity, kind of keeping to himself. His, teammates' banners have timed out, but he is in circle. He is safe, so he's able to just kind of chill there and use that to his advantage, and hopefully let the teams around him fight.
No, and I mean, I think that's going to be the best, course of action here. When you can't get the respawn beacon and it's just yourself, hey, and you know what? In that case, I'll say it's all right to rat. You don't have to go full send into these 3 squads. Chill out. Try to secure those placement points because realistically, the first time that you get engaged on, unless you are absolutely cracked, you're probably going to get, wiped.
I mean, it is kind of crazy here. Already looking, we do see that SPG is top 10 with at least 5 kill points between the entire team. So I'm definitely curious to see how they're going to end up. And it does look like we do have good boys. This is kind of my team that I'm rooting for. I hope to see them come out on top.
Okay.
Not trying to be biased or anything, but
The
this is the
bias
team to look
casting.
out for.
No, there definitely are teams here that we see the ranks. We do a little bit of the research, and there's definitely some teams here that have some star players, and so it's going to be interesting to see this team who does have some star players perform.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm definitely curious to see how this fight is going to go down. We do see Wolf with the crack using this bow, and I'm curious if these teams are going to take advantage of the crack.
Yeah, and these are two of our, best teams here fighting out. It could be an unfortunate path if, one of these guys gets taken out a little bit earlier than maybe expected just because they ran into the wrong team at the wrong time. Losing them on potential KP and also on potential placements. And this is a choke point,
Yeah,
so
no,
it's going to be
I
interesting
agree.
to see who comes through.
This is a very, very tough spot to fight in because if you get third partied here, you are going to be in a pickle. That is for sure. There are a lot of different entrance points into this tunnel, and you're kind of put in a pinch, especially if a team is in front of you and behind you. You're going to have a really hard time getting out of this area.
Yeah, and honestly, Anti, just based on a positioning standard, seems like they might have a more unfortunate spot to be able to disengage here. It looks like Cat Girl Cafe has a little bit of better positioning, but we'll see how this fight turns out.
So Good Boys does get the knock on Carol plays. They are traded. It is a 1v2 right now, and Headsy with the clutch, finishing up, reviving Pubski real quick, and that will be 3 KP on the board and a top 6 placement right now.
Yeah,
So
and
it does
as I
look
said,
like.
Go ahead.
Oh no, it does look like we do have another team maybe trying to third party this. We can see in the background they're looking to peak and hopefully take advantage of these teams that just finished up fighting.
Yeah, and as I said, they had the positional advantage here, Cat Girl Cafe, but now they have put themselves in the position that their opposition was just in, and now they're going to have to play from this choke. It might be a little bit tougher for them, but we'll see. They just did kind of handle Best Pup Renee in that squad, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, I think that it's going to be very interesting seeing that the positions were just kind of flipped. Good Boys did just get put in the spot that their opposing team was in, and we saw how that turned out. So I'm very curious to see how aggressive SPG is going to try and take this fight.
Yeah, no, and it looks like they're struggling to find some cover here. I'm curious. It looks like actually SPG might be backing off here and allowing them to give up kind of this positional advantage.
It looks like both teams did decide to back up. They do see Ring is closing, and round 4 Storm does hurt for sure. And you don't want to rotate in too late and, risk taking that Storm damage or risk getting gate kept, especially when Storm round 4 does hurt quite a bit.
Yeah, and SPG opting to do the redeploy here, trying to get themselves in the safe position. Honestly, probably going to be the move for this last zone, especially since there's buildings here. You want to be able to get some sort of cover while you're in these final zones.
Yeah, I definitely agree 100%. And SPG is so lucky that this building was open for them to just get a free rotation into without taking too much damage or, having to fight for that spot. Because this end zone is very important to kind of take control of one of those buildings and use that to your advantage.
Yeah, and shout out Gibraltar with his ultimate accelerant, especially in these final zones. That Gibby ulti can really, really make a difference, whether allowing you to disengage or really full commit to some fights.
Yeah, no, 100%. The Gibraltar ult is insanely strong at end zone, especially if a team that doesn't have a building to play or a Gibraltar of their own to use that dome. They will be left in a pickle and just kind of free damage, free shots on them. So I'm curious to see what teams when they decide to throw their Gibby ult, when will they use it, how will they use it, and take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how Texas Tech Red kind of rotates out of here, right? They're gonna have to give up that high ground just so they can make it to this last zone, and it's gonna be I'm just very concerned potentially on their placement. It seems like they're gonna have to go through quite a few teams just to be able to make it, right? Being on the opposite side of that final zone is such a pain to try to get through.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's kinda like what we had mentioned before was a little tough with, edge teams, is rotating in from the outside and trying to make your way into the circle can be tough, but we do see Texas Tech trying to take control of this building. They do get a knock and clear out, whoever was inside that location, and now they're playing as aggressive as possible.
Yeah, it looks like they're pushing up on good boys here, with I mean, quite a few nades thrown, right? Those grenades can be such a insane tactical advantage if you really get to throw them out. They're so good at just
And
negating areas and making people run from their spots.
I have no idea how Headsy managed to make it out of that alive. He was about 50 HP, thermites, arc stars, nades, all in front of him. But he somehow slithered his way out of that building. And yes, they did get put in a bad spot now, but at least they're alive. I think that's the
Yeah,
best way to look at it. They do have that advantage that they do have two people up. And I'm curious to see, can Pubsky and Headsy pull it off? There's only two teams left, so we'll see what happens.
I was gonna say with two other teams left, I think two people can definitely third party, and it looks like there's only two squads left here. It's gonna be a team of two versus Chaotic and his
I'm
squad.
curious to see. So we do see Headsy take a lot of damage right there, and I'm curious how aggressive is this team of three going to play? And it looks like they're
Oh my
playing
god,
super
it shield
aggressive.
cracked immediately.
Yeah, Headsy with the 103 spray onto the Valkyrie. Pubsky taking so much damage. We have Gibby ults going down, Arc Stars. Teams having to back up, and it looks like this other team is relentless right now. They know they have the
Yeah, but
man
they're
advantage. Pubsky going down
ooh.
to 70 HP. And Texas Tech Red is not pulling off the gas. They want this dub. They know they can win this fight. So I'm curious to
They've
see what
got the numbers
happens.
advantage. They've got the healing advantage, especially in a 2v3. People can just put pressure on the teams, and one of them goes down here. Oh my god, it looks like it's all up to Headsy for the last fight.
Does Headsy 1v3 these? Does Headsy 1v3?
Does he 1v3?
And it does not look like he
Oh,
does. And Texas Tech Red is the champions. That was a big game
congratulations.
from them. Congratulations to Texas
Woo!
Tech Red for winning the first game of the Black Legends tournament. And we do see a little BM shooting the boxes at the end. And I'm curious, is Good Boys going to take that to heart? Are they not going to let that slide next time? We
Yeah,
will
is there
see.
going to be beef
But
now?
but
No, I think
congratulations to Texas Tech Red.
no, super congratulations. I think they played that so well there, knowing they had the numbers advantage and trying to push up, right? Because as I was saying, if it's a 3v2, you can put pressure on those two people. They're not going to have a lot of times in med, but if one of your teammates goes down in a 3v2, then you have one of the party members that can just kind of hang back while two still apply pressure. It puts them in a very unfortunate spot there, and I think not letting off the gas there was the move. And obviously, it succeeded.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Texas Tech Red, as you said, kept the gas up. They kept the momentum. They knew they had that man advantage. They knew they had the shield advantage, the health advantage, and they were just going to, capitalize on it, which is exactly what they did. And we did see one of Good Boys' players, Laya Wolf, go down to a third party, and Headsy barely make it out of that. And they were pushed out of that building they were controlling. So they were forced into a really bad spot. And it looks like Texas Tech Red took advantage of that and they knew the situation and they played together and they came out on top. So congrats to them for winning game one. And can I just say that was a great start to our first game? We have five more of
Absolutely.
these, and I am ecstatic to see how the rest of these go.
No, it was absolutely hype, so iconic. And I will say though, the disengage, although did put them in a bad position, it did allow them to get to second place, right? Because originally they were slotted for third in that fight there. If they would have gone down there, they would have definitely lost on some placement points. So I think them disengaging and getting that kind of their footing back allowed them to be able to secure some more placement points and get themselves higher up on the board, right? It'll be interesting to see how they play and if there is going to be that beef between these two teams now.
Can we talk about for a second how chaotic, the solo Wraith made it all the way to third place? Can we talk about that for a second? He ratted
Yeah,
his way
what?
from when there was about 13, like 12 to 13 teams all the way to third, playing the zone, playing in, smart hidden locations, and secured a third place, placement for his squad. And that,
Yeah, no,
is a great way to start.
No, we said that the most optimal play for Chaotic now is really just going to be ratting, just trying to find the edge of the zone and chilling there and hopefully not being seen. And obviously, right, I think his team was wiped
Mhm.
way into the game, right? I think around 10th place, 8th place. If he would have gone out there, a huge loss in placement points. Being able to secure a place spot, especially as a solo, that's huge gains. And so, congratulations to him as well. It's interesting to see how all of these teams perform so differently and how they're approaching
Mhm.
this tournament.
Yeah, so we did see a lot of examples of teams playing very aggressive, teams only looking to third party, and teams playing as safe as possible. And we definitely did see a very interesting mix of play styles throughout that entire match. And I'm curious how teams are going to look to, maybe adjust their play style. Maybe it didn't work out for them. Maybe they were too aggressive. Maybe they weren't aggressive enough. And I'm definitely excited to see how this gameplay is going to evolve throughout the rest of these 5 matches.
Yeah, because you're not only getting adjusted to playing, with your team, especially if you're already accustomed to them, but in a tournament setting like this, you're not playing against randos every lobby. You're playing against teams that you've already
Mhm.
fought in the past. So you're getting used to how they play and how you should play optimally to fight against these styles of team, right? If we have a bunch of edge teams, you want to be able to try to fight that. If you have a bunch of circle teams, then you're going to want to be able to counter that. I think it's going to be interesting again to see how this evolves further down the line.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Like you said, you are not going to be playing against random people every match. You're going to be playing against the same people for 6 games. And I think you can use that to your advantage and just kind of understand what teams you want to avoid, what teams, hey, we can win this gunfight against them. Let's go find them and things like that. And that stuff, little notes and little pieces of knowledge that I think will be used to teams' advantages as this tournament progresses, and they're just going to kind of get a better understanding of how everyone else in the lobby plays.
No, for sure. And I think that the team that comes out on top, right, is not going to be the team that's just the best at gunfights or the team that's the best at movement here. I think it's going to be the team that understands the knowledge of these teams because there's some skill gaps here, right? We have some teams that are just statistically a little bit weaker than others. And so I think teams that can know how to capitalize on that, where they're dropping, how to be able to cut them off, where the free KP is going to be, those are going to be the teams that are going to be able to farm the most points and be able to come out on top here. So even if you have a team that might be able to win all these matches, if you can farm a lot of this free KP, you might be able to be on top no matter what.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And the thing is, like, with the kill feed being there, people are going to learn, who's on whose team, how close their fights are to each other. And if they do see knocks in the kill feed, they will capitalize on that and push up, knowing that there could be trades or one person could be knocked on a team, and they want to take advantage of that and essentially gain that free KP, back out, and just get a full reset and act like nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to I'm curious to see if teams will use the kill feed to their advantage as the tournament progresses as well.
I mean, I think that'd be the smart move, especially, not just to take advantage of potentially weaker players, but also to back off of stronger players, right? If you're seeing a third party potential and one player is killing another player and you're like, okay, wait, I know that team is statistically like really good, then you might want to be like, let's not third party this. Let's not risk getting taken out earlier. Let's wait, let's play back, and let's go in.
Yeah, no, I that is a super good point because no team wants to try and third party the best team in the lobby because that's a high risk, I guess high reward situation as well, because say you do come out on top, one, you got the best team in the lobby out, you get 6 people's worth of loot minimum, and you get all those KP, and you move up in placement. So, that is a very risky situation, but if it does work out for you, you will be set for rest of the match.
Now, and speaking of placements, we recently had a Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Tournament qualifiers for our circuit that's currently in progress. And that's happening every single Wednesday at, I think, 6 p.m. Eastern, if I'm correct. They've been absolutely iconic. If you guys like any other types of games, we stream quite a few of them. And right now, our Smash circuit is going absolutely insane. Oh, it's been iconic. So if you guys want to get a little bit more of that as well, obviously we're here for Apex for today. But if you're feeling smashed a little bit later on, keep coming back. Keep checking out some of our other tournaments. They're absolutely iconic. I promise you.
Yes, I mean Kobe hosted the last one and honestly was one of the most entertaining and exciting things I have seen in my entire life. I'm pretty sure I told him that after the fact too because this guy right here, this is my guy. And he
Hey.
does a great job at casting Super Smash. He's knowledgeable. Our other caster Ryan, he's all right, but Kobe's kind of the star of the show. And definitely please check out the Super Smash Bros. Circuits every Wednesday. They are so much fun to watch. They're super entertaining. And as Kobe said before, we do host a plethora of games throughout the week, um, all the time. So please give us a follow, check out the app, check out everything that we do here because we would love to have you.
And speaking of follows, it looks like we're so close to the 1,000 mark. I don't know if you saw so many subs being dropped in that last match, so many follows. Absolutely iconic. It seems like we might even hit 1,000 this stream, which would be absolutely legendary. I'm very, very, very excited. Five more, four more. It's just ticking down. Oh my god, this
Can
is almost as
can can
hype as
I
the
just
game.
say Can I just say Pubsky in the chat saying lucky it was a 2v3? I mean, I think that BMing the box shooting at the end kind of did get to that team, and let's see how they respond next match. I'm
24.
curious. Do they land on them? Do they play aggressive? Do they headhunt? I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see how this storyline will play out, and we do see we win anyways. We are getting so close to 1,000. We are pulling up, and it does look like we do have the graphics for Texas Tech and the scoreboard coming up. So let's see
Woo!
how it all panned out. Oh, wow. We do see Texas Tech getting a total of 11 kill points. Beer Gut with 2,300 damage. Insane. Drip with 1,300. Fake Twigs with three damage, 3 kills. And with the placement points, that
Bubsky
does put them
BMing
at.
in the chat as well. Oh.
And with the placement points, that does put them at 23 total points. That's honestly an insane start to at the
No,
beginning
it's
of the game.
no
And
2,300 also iconic. And speaking of iconic, we got 1,000 followers. Absolutely iconic. You love to see it. But
let's
let's hop into
go.
this leaderboard. Let's hop into this leaderboard and look at Texas Tech Red hitting 23 total points in the first game, followed a little bit shortly behind Good Boys with 18, and then SPG at 14.
So it does look like, first and second are insanely close to each other. And then, the gap between third to fourth place starts growing. So I'm curious to see how these teams are going to, use this to their advantage and work their way up to the leaderboards and catch up to Texas Tech and Good Boys and SPG. But our top five looks like they do have a very strong standing, and like we said, it is only the first game. A lot can happen, and I think that these next 5 games are gonna be insane.
Yeah, and I think teams need to not be super nervous about teams getting higher points immediately just because we don't have a match point system in place, right? So people getting to these higher points faster is, obviously puts them in a position of advantage for later on, but not incredibly important for the time being. Anybody's game if they really come out to play. And so, for those teams that might be a little nervous right now, I promise you guys are going to do amazing. And let's see where that momentum takes you guys. I'm very, very curious.
No, I'm also super curious to see kind of what happens. Like we said at the beginning, this is anybody's game. First match does not mean a lot if you started off poorly because you still have so many opportunities to come back and work your way up those leaderboards. Because if you think about it, you get a big, one team gets a super big game and wins this round. They could be in first place from one game. And I think we could see that happen. Anybody can do it, and I'm definitely excited to see, what that comeback team decides to pull out of their back pocket.
No, I'm also incredibly excited, and it looks like we're going to be getting into the second game here very shortly. But yeah, I'm very, very much curious to see what's going to take precedent here as well. Is it going to be KP in the second game, or is it going to be placement? And if these higher teams are going to play overly aggressive, maybe just trying to secure those extra kill points, or if they're going to play a little bit safer, try to go for those placements because they already are in a position where they have a lot of points. 23 points off first, off rip is pretty dang good. So I'm curious if they're going
Yeah,
to continue that up, right?
I know. I agree 100%. 23 is insane, and it does look like we're getting into character select. So I'm curious to see, do you think teams are going to change how they use their team compositions? It does look like, we got a lifeline in there. We're seeing the usual Bloodhounds, Valks, Gibraltars. I'm looking for that one team to, just kind of say, F it and try something different, try like a character
Yeah.
that's not used too much. And we do see Loba and Octane on Team 2, Filet Mignon. And that is a very interesting comp. I know Loba is starting to get tested out way more in competitive matches. So I'm definitely curious to see how they're going to use that to their advantage.
Yeah, and honestly, Loba might not be a bad pick here. We saw some teams get really punished early on for not having enough loot. Loba can help your team get jump started very quickly, especially in some of the more populated drop areas. So we'll see if those Loba teams really decide to go to some of these bigger drop areas, farm for black market, and then drop it down. But who knows? We'll just have to see how it plays out.
Aside from Texas Tech Red, Kobe, is there a team, you kind of are rooting for, or, you want to watch out for and see how they do this round?
I think Cat Girl Cafe. I want to. I just off name alone, I gotta see what they're bringing to the table. They had not a crazy great first performance, but they have some interesting fights, and I'm curious to see how they might get carried out through the rest of this tournament.
Oh, and here is Catgirl Cafe. Speak of the devil. It does look like they are
Yes.
landing Skyhook, and it looks free to me, honestly. Skyhook is such a large POI, especially if they have this whole side to themselves. They're going to be able to use that to their advantage and come out on top with a whole mess of loot.
Yeah, and similar to the Loba point, right? If you get in these positions that have a lot of loot, you can really set yourself up for success. And I'm curious to see if this will maybe give them a little bit of a competitive edge here coming into like the next early or the early game that's about to kind of go on.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And we did see teams, changing up where they had landed. Los Phasmos, instead of landing Fragment East, they chose to land in Lava Siphon, which is a very high tier loot area with a whole plethora of different things and different, POIs within it. So maybe they do want to take that to their advantage and find a locate and change it up to a spot where they can get more different ways to save themselves.
No, for sure. And it looks like Zuni picking up the wingman here, feeling himself. I guess we'll see how cracked he ends up with it. It looks like we're going over to Team Solo Squad. It might be getting pushed up by a Bloodhound. Looks like we just saw his sonar go off.
Yeah, so it does look like they engaged a little bit, but did decide to back up. We see Magic Mike here with, 28 damage, maybe did a little bit of poking and then made the decision to kind of back up, realizing the team contesting them did have the high ground advantage in that, broken building, streamer building, as a lot of people like to call it. So I'm curious to see, will this team play aggressive on them? We do see that Magic Mike and Steve both have purples, and that armor advantage could be huge in this first fight.
No, the armor advantage incredibly huge, right? Because earlier we saw teams get pushed up on with gray armor and then get absolutely rolled because they just didn't have the defensive capabilities, especially if you're getting pushed up with a team that has those higher tiers armors. We'll see how this plays out as well as we go over to Texas Tech Red, seeming like they're playing pretty aggressive here.
Yeah, it looks like they already did take out a player on Olympus, and they're going to use that 3v2 advantage. They are kitted with the armors. They know that they have whites, and they do get that first knock pretty easily. Let's see how these teams fight it off.
Yeah, and I'm curious if they're going to try to push up on this Gibby bubble or let them just reset here. Is there a third party here as well, or do my eyes
Yeah,
deceive
it
me?
does look like, as we see in the kill feed, Chaotic from a completely different team finishes off the kill for Texas Tech Red. So, that is kind of nice for both teams, aside from Olympus.
Yeah.
If you're on Chaotic's team, you have a guarantee that there's one less player in the lobby. And if you're on Texas Tech Red, you do have that kill confirmed for you without having to do any of the work. So that does work out pretty well for them.
Yeah, kind of free farm allows them to back off as well because they have quite a bit of space in between them, and it doesn't seem likely that the third party would go past the team that's down a player to them. So they obviously took advantage of the
Yep.
situation, backed off, gathered some heals.
And it does look Anti is looking to play aggressive on this team. We see Best Pupper with the charge rifle, and they're just full sending this team. They're committing alts. And it looks like they're going to try and take advantage of, this team running away that might be in shambles.
Again, this Voxian is so good here because it also not only puts them in like a high ground, a good position, but also makes sure that
Oh,
there's
look at that
nobody too
rotation.
close to them. Woo! And a
The
quick break
Valcourt
of armor there.
rotation to height. Oh,
That's the
that
God
that
spot,
that's
baby.
big
That's the
brain.
God spot.
Yeah, that is big brain to say the
Whoa.
least. He's just getting free damage on them. We see the crack on the Ash. The team is looking to support from the low ground while he just sits there and griefs with the charge rifle. And looks like we're spectating the team running away, and they're getting hit by two charge rifles at the same time. When
Yeah,
you're
they
when
are
you're
not letting
Gibby
up the
and your
gas here.
hitbox is that big, yeah, you are
Oh
in
my
such a
God,
bad
and this
spot
charge
there.
rifle is insane.
And it looks like Amaze does get the full kill on a Trace Owl. So, that's 1 KP on the board for them. And, this charge rifle is dangerous. It's the grief gun. Look at that.
Oh my God. And so for people who might not be very, experienced in Apex here, all of this damage is also going to these shields. They're also being able to level up their shields and get to a higher tier, right? And with this much damage on the charge rifle, you're just racking up damage. Oh my God! And he gets him out of the air. Insane.
That charge rifle is putting in the work for Team Anti. Look at if we see here, he's farmed 990 damage off of one charge rifle, and he gets that knock halfway across the map. And that's skill
Insane.
right there. I don't care what you have to say about the gun. That definitely does take a little bit of skill to be able to track the target that far away, flying through the air, and I was insane. Someone clip that.
Yeah, please clip that. And yeah, as you said, a lot of damage dealt here, right? The next Evo is only around 280 away, which is very much doable for these teams. And having that red shield is so important in this late game where every bit of health that you have matters so much.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, even having triple perp this early into the match is insane. They're getting closer and closer to that red armor, and we could see within the next 2 3 teams they already have red, while teams are still stuck on blue and purple. So definitely, Anti is looking really good in terms of shields.
No, shout out Anti and the triple perp, bro. They are definitely feeling themselves, and I'm curious if they're going to continue this very aggressive playstyle, chasing down these teams and just trying to go for this KP, right? They're getting a lot of damage on the board, a lot of kills on the board. We'll see if this is going to help them maybe secure them a higher spot in our bracket.
And we did see Libra in the kill feed get a knock. I think it was on Magic Mike, who they seem to be shooting at right now with this Sentinel across the map. They're holding 5-stack or construction, whichever you prefer to call it. And they're looking, like we said before, take that God spot, hold the height, and work your way from there.
Yeah, and playing this range very well here, it seems like. I mean, they might be getting pushed up by Texas Tech Red. Obviously, our victors of the last match. We'll see how aggressive they play this and if they can really kind of turn the tides here.
So it looks like Beer Guts was forced to drop off of the roof because, he wasn't getting too much damage in. He was getting shot at by 3 different people. So they had to drop. Fake Twigs did take a lot of damage initiating in that fight. So let's see how they recover from that.
And it looks like this team is not letting off either. It seems like they definitely want it. They saw the red, right? The shark sensing the blood in the water and really are going for these kills. But they are going up against our victors from the last match, so it's going to be a pretty tough fight here.
Oh, they do get the
Just as I
first
say
knock.
that, Beer Guts gets the kill.
Oh, so it's a 2v2
Looks
right
like
now. Beer Guts with no shield. The zipline movement.
Oh my God.
Does he get the knock? He got the knock.
Oh, it still goes. Oh, the fist to the face.
Oh my gosh. That was insane. Beer Guts right there with the zip line movement, bouncing back
God.
and forth and just kind of toying with it with his opponent. That was insane. And, Drip out here, he won his one, and that's all that mattered. They trusted each other to each win their battles, and they did. So, congrats to them for winning that fight because that was stressful just to watch.
No, definitely stressful. That just entire interaction on the just zip line was insane. It is so crazy how well these players can perform in such chaotic circumstances. Wow, absolutely iconic.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I'm glad we got to witness that because that was just such an entertaining fight to watch. And we do see Texas Tech Black looking to just kind of push up on this team and take this high ground. They do need some KP. They are looking to bubble forward, and it looks like they're full committing on this fight.
And I'm wondering if this is going to pay off, or if this might screw them, Texas Tech Black here, still being able to charge up the shield, but not full health on all players, but it looks like this is going to be pretty easy for them to get that first kill.
They do get the first knock on an officer booth, and I wonder if his two teammates are going to try and back up, or if they're going to try and 2v3. And it does look like...
Oh my god, and
oh my gosh,
tracking
Pokey nap. Yeah, great tracking from him. That flatline hip fire is insane. The accuracy on it is crazy, and the flatline is one of the strongest guns in the game if you can get that recoil control down, and it looks like Pokey does have it. So that is 2 KP on the board for them. Yeah, he definitely has the touch right there, and it looks like Texas Tech Black will get the full reset. Everyone will get, full shields and free loot, kind of.
And another ultimate accelerant here for Gib. It's going to help a lot. Not only this, but all of these skills very much help for this late game because of the ammo, right? At the end of that fight, Poke had around maybe 70, 80 reserve rounds. That's not a lot for these longer firefights that are going to happen. Being able to take down these kills, get some extra ammo in your arsenal, and really be able to kind of beef up stockpile for these late games is going to help a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Conserving your ammo, playing smart is very important. And we do see SPG here, one teammate down, Z Proficiency getting knocked by the bow. Lapsy decided not to take the portal because that obviously did not work out for his teammate. So he elected to back up into the building, full heal himself, and he might be able to get this res off if Proficiency is in a safe spot. But it does look like SPG is in a very bad position right now.
Yeah, and SPG right now, third on our bracket. It's going to be interesting to see how they play this. They could kind of just try to go for those placements, or they could try to get this res off, maybe help them in the later or in the long run. It just depends on how successful this rat could be. I don't know. I bet a lot is going through Lapsy's head right now, very much having to weigh all of his options.
So yeah, it does look like I take that back. It looks like this team is electing to kind of push up on Lapsy, knowing that he is solo, and I'm curious. He's electing to just completely back out. Doesn't think he can get the revive off, and is just going to get a full reset and hopefully get placement. And then we see in the kill feed, we see Zuni TV taking out Lyle Wolf, getting the full kill, and Zuni is getting that shield reset. Egro Messiah using the bubble to safely back out, and we're going to see what happens.
Yeah, pushing this team on in the zone right now, it seems like, kind of just poking them. They know they have a potential advantage. It doesn't seem like they want to give up too much of their space here, but just knowing that they could be coming from this direction, obviously giving them the advantage here. We'll see if they try to kind of get this little rat or if they kind of play a little bit safer.
Yeah, I do want to point out that the player they did kill was Lyle Wolf, who is a part of Good Boys, who was currently in second place. So I'm curious to see how that's going to affect the rest of Good Boys' performance for this match. And we do see SPG Lapsy getting taken out in the kill feed. So unfortunately, SPG will be out for the remainder of this game.
Dang. Unfortunate. It looks like Poke also goes down. Another player that we saw, going crazy with that flatline earlier. But Catgirl Cafe, very intrigued. It seems like they're still putting pressure on this player outside of the zone. Trying to just get as much KP as possible.
Yeah, they're electing to gatekeep them because they know they have to rotate to them. There's really no other way that they can go, and they're trying to take that to their advantage, and I'm curious how this team is going to make their way out of it because Zuni is just applying as much pressure as possible with this 3x hemlock and, just not letting anything fly by him.
And they got such a good positional advantage here. That's half of the game of Apex is just figuring out, obviously you got to be good at fighting. You have to be good with your gunplay, but your movement and how you're going to be able to put pressure on these other players and punish their movement is such a big just a component of this game. And let's see, they also seem to be getting into another firefight here with another team pushing out on their southeast.
I'm curious if Zuni decides to, push this third party or drop down on these two, but I think that is a risky move. He knows he has the high ground on them, and Storm 3 does hurt quite a bit. But unfortunately, he can't get that poke damage because that charge rifle is stopping him. But he does get some ticks with the thermite, and I'm curious to see how this is going to get played out by the team underneath.
Yeah, incredibly intrigued just because Kakro Cafe seemed to be sandwiched in between three teams there. Obviously, the team from the southeast has a charge rifle, definitely applying pressure. The team outside of the zone just barely made it in, and the other team that was fighting in front of them, it definitely put them in a pretty unfortunate position here. And Antimatter obviously has a very great vantage point on them as well.
Yeah, so it looks like they did elect to swap armors. If we can see, Best Pupper did elect to take one of their armors in order to charge it up with the charge rifle, get that poke damage because he does have the sniper, and the more people on your team that you can have red armor, the better. And it does look like Good Boys is going to push up, I believe, on Catgirl Cafe, who is just recently holding this position. And Pubsky does get the knock on E-Girl Messiah, and we're going to see. And Zuni TV
Zuni
goes
also
down
goes
to
down?
Lyle Wolf. I'm curious to see. It's a 3v1. Will Skybreaker be able to pull this out?
Oh, and it looks like
Skybreaker
great tracking here in the
and
massive
with
drop.
The massive.
Oh,
Oh,
and they're
and
shooting
they're
the box
getting
with
the
a
little
BM.
BM shooting the boxes. I mean,
No, and we saw
that
Lyle
is just
go
so
down
crazy
earlier.
to see. Yeah, that I was just about to point that out. That's crazy to see. It looks like Good Boys did get the full reset, able to respawn Wolf and just kind of get that payback on E-Girl Cafe. And look how that turned out. They got 3 KP off of it, and they advanced further up in placement. And then we do see a little bit of BM. Maybe they're a little bit angry about the BM at the end of last game.
I would hate to be this team with the Loba here. They're getting absolutely sandwiched. The charge rifle just putting in work as they get pushed from another side. I wonder how Anti's going to be able to capitalize on all this KP and make sure that they don't get stolen here. But it seems like they're doing a great job.
We need to get the charge rifle out of Best Pupper's hands because he is just
insane.
an absolute menace with it. 5 kills, almost 1,900 damage with 5 squads, and he gets a crack on a full gold. This man cannot be stopped with this charge rifle. He is playing in great positions, and it's competitive. It's anybody's game. There's a prize on the line, so he is using anything he can to his advantage. And we do see a team.
Man, and he is just a demon with this. God.
Yeah, that his charge rifle gameplay, he is griefing teams. He is getting knocks. He is getting full kills. He is just not letting any team have fun. And that's just the name of the game at the end of the day.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I will say, we talked about the importance of shields here. Antimatter looking very, very strong coming into this last 5 squads remaining. Every single player with red armor. It's going to give them such a competitive advantage here, especially if the other teams don't have this same level of gear at their disposal.
And we see all these teams trying to use this free Loba ult sitting in the open, but it looks like Best Pupper is just taking advantage of these teams that are desperate for, heals or ammo or maybe a different gun, and he is in the prime position to stop teams from using that Loba ult.
Yeah, and talk about a god spot, right? So, their entire team has such a good vantage point on the entirety of the zone. This is insane. The teams cannot even catch a break. It's just hellfire.
Yeah, we got Arbake saying Best Pupper 4K damage. Who knows? He's at 2,500 right now, which is insane considering that there is still 4 teams alive. He's just sitting up there farming. And like we said at the beginning, we could see Anti having that, 3-man red armor, and they do, which is just kind of insane going into endgame because as we've seen, a lot of teams only have maybe 1 or 2 reds, but their whole team has triple red, and they have height, they have God spot, and it's looking pretty good for them right now.
And it's going to be so interesting to see how these teams play out, because obviously as the higher placements come, the point difference is so much more vast. So second place has a way better curve to third place than like a 11th to 12th. So every single squad here is going to matter. So our team's going to rat. Are they going to play safe? Or are they going to try to get this extra KP? This is the duality of man, and we'll see how they perform. Anti obviously playing so aggressive. They know what they want, and that's the W.
Yeah, I mean, we see they're holding that height. They have control of the one building in circle, and these other teams are just kind of scrambling, running around, looking for to hide, looking for places that they can take advantage of. And it's just kind of like shooting fish in a barrel for antimatter right now. They're just taking advantage of these teams being stuck in the open and them holding this high ground.
No, I will say though, Best Pupper in A, he's got quite low ammo on both of his weapons now, especially on the alternator. I think only 70 reserve. If these fights go too long, they might be in a bad spot, but they've been playing really good. If they can hit all those shots, it might not matter, but it's going to be curious to see what goes down.
I would say the downfall about having the charge rifle is when the circle gets smaller and they're going to be forced to, push in. He's going to be in a tough spot in those close range fights. So I'm curious how he's going to use that, or if he's just going to use his alternator only and use that close range SMG for these, later fights.
Yeah, but their positional advantage right here is so good, right? They can just kind of crouch, just get cover immediately, and these other teams can't really contest. Best Pupper NA almost with 3k damage already. Absolutely insane as 3 squads converge for the final zone.
And it does look like, as we had said before, they're holding this high ground so hard they can just shoot down on the rest of these teams below them. I think you called them little pawns or something like that. And they're just getting, free shots on these. And it looks like one team did elect to climb up on them. And how Antimatter is going to respond to this.
Yeah, again, all red shields though. But Pupski and the good boys are definitely going to be playing oh my god, a nice crack.
The 2 pump on Carol plays. Let's see how Pupski, can he get this?
Oh my god.
Yep.
Oh my god,
Pupski
absolutely
on the knock on Amaze.
Great kills.
They're going to play, and they're forcing the Valk to drop off of that high ground that they possessed for so long, and it looks like Good Boys just kind of ran them out of their spot. That was an ego chow and a half, and I think Good Boys wants to win this one after what had happened last game.
No, they did what they had to do, and they played it. They played incredibly aggressive. 2 squads left. Is it going to be Good Boys or the other team?
So it looks like Los Phasmos versus Good Boys, and Good Boys does get the first knock onto Headsy and the full kill, and Pupski goes down. It is a 3v1 right now. They're gonna.
Will Lyle will
pull this off, and Los Phasmos with the win.
Let's go! Oh God, I feel so bad for Good Boys here. They did what had to happen. They did what they had to do to be able to secure that high ground, but at the cost of being able to be third-partied. They did what they had to do, but at a cost, still securing some KP in second place. But congratulations to Los Phasmos for first in that last incredibly hype match.
Yeah, that was honestly an insane endgame. Shout out Elite with that first knock onto Headsy, kind of giving his team that advantage to push up and be aggressive, and giving them, that man advantage that we had preached about. And again, Good Boys did get put in another 3v2 situation, last 2 teams instantly as soon as they had finished their last fight. And I don't know if you noticed, Los Phasmos did get to clean up on Antimatter Gaming, so that is 4 KP at the end for them right there, plus a first place.
Man, absolutely incredible performance from all 3 of those teams. We thought it was so one-sided for Anti for so long there, especially whenever they had that positional advantage. It was so interesting to see how kind of Good Boys ego checked them and really put them in a bad spot, and then how Los Phasmos played honestly what I think is the smarter of the 2 options, which is kind of wait, see what's going to happen, and then come in, secure that final just team wipe, get the KP, get the W, and they got that absolutely incredible match. And that's just our second one. To see how things are going to escalate in the future, I'm so gassed.
I know, I cannot agree with you anymore. So it does look like Los Phasmos did get first place with 5 kill points, Good Boys second place with 7 kill points, and at Antimatter Gaming third place with 11 kill points on top of securing that
Mm.
third place. So, these top three teams, they balled out. They got a whole bunch of points via placement and kills. So I'm curious to see how they're going to stack up on the leaderboard and how they're going to move up.
No, it would be incredibly, incredibly interesting to see. Also, we got a brag completed. Obviously, we care about the brags here. Will match go to last ring? The answer is yes, absolutely iconic, incredibly sick. But no, it was very interesting to see how these teams played. Again, we said that there was going to be teams that were going to play a little bit more aggressive push for KP, and some teams that were going to try to push replacement. Los Phasmos obviously trying to get that placement, where Anti was really going for these kills. But absolutely iconic match.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I just wanted to point out one more time that we do have our Super Smash Bros circuit next Wednesday. So if you love watching, Brag House, if you love seeing exciting gameplay aside from Apex Legends, if you're a Smash head, definitely come check that out as well. But it does look like we will be taking a very short break, and definitely I'm excited to see how the rest of this tournament goes. Thank
It's
you
going
for
to be
coming out,
absolutely
and we'll be
iconic,
right
guys.
back.
We'll see you soon.
Yep.